I was on Coexisting once, I think. Or maybe I was on Rob's other show. Anyway, welcome to Wrestling Made Me Cry. So glad to have all you here. My name is Kiley.
I'm Collins.
And we don't have our little...
Why do we not have our names?
Because Rob and Maggie, I think they don't use the display names. And so when
Ooh,
we're orange. It's kind of a vibe.
Ooh, that is a vibe. Ooh,
yeah.
Orange.
I love the color orange.
I do too. Notice the orange little flannel.
Ooh, anything fall vibes in January.
Fall vibes in January. Honestly, if you can have Christmas in July, right? Or Christmas, right? Isn't there I can have fall in January. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now. You want to know how the temperature right now here is?
Yes, and I'll tell you what mine is.
This morning, it was a crisp 38 degrees, but it's sitting at 55, like, as a high during the day in January.
It was 40 degrees this morning, and our high is 64. Right now, it's 57.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, we've had a few days in the 30s, like few mornings in the 30s, like the past week.
That's cold.
It is cold because it's like, well, one is Florida. It never gets that cold. Yeah. The last time I remember it being this cold was like 2010 or something, and it snowed a little bit, which in the part of Florida I live in, that's unheard of. It was crazy. It was like 20 degrees. It was crazy. But
when it's snowing in Florida is when you gotta pack it up.
Yeah, we pack it up. We go home.
We go home.
Hello, everybody. We have, oh my goodness, chat's popping off. Hello to Fernando, to Maria, to Clown, to Lawrence, to Lizzie, to I Make Beats, to JPJ Loves Gaming. Hello to everybody. This is a fun little episode we have planned because, like, obviously we're going to talk about Kenny Omega. Obviously.
Is that just like the prerequisite for each show now moving forward is like Kenny Omega status?
It reminds me of back in the day, like when Tag Talk first started, which if you don't know is a podcast I used to do. We would do Hung Bucks updates where we would dissect Being the Elite and AEW television for updates on the Hung Bucks. That's our version of that, where it's just Kenny.
Oh, but it's just Kenny.
Kenny's back.
I mean,
AEW.
You know what made me nervous is that we both watched the after everything went off the air, his little speech or whatever. He's still holding his abdomen.
I need him to stop.
I need you to let me know that everything is okay. The fact that he mentioned that 2 feet of his intestines gone.
That he had to learn how to walk again, how to go to the toilet again. Like, I can't imagine. And if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it hasn't been that long.
Right. Like, 18 months?
Maybe even less. I can't remember. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Not that long at all.
That's insane. Yeah. Because it's things like that you like kind of take for granted, your digestive system and like how integral it is to your everyday life. I don't know about you, but every time that I get sick or feel ill, that all kind of plays into it. So it's like knowing that is the main thing that was like ailing him, which was impacting all of the other aspects of him just existing as a human, let alone wrestling.
Yeah. It's a miracle that Kenny Omega is back, and I'm not taking any of it for granted. Like, every time Kenny's there, even if he's just there to come out at the beginning of the show and say hi, I'm soaking it in. Because we almost never got any of this. Because I
know.
When he gets on, if you haven't seen it, there's AEW Dynamite goes off the air, and then Kenny talks for a little bit. So it's on Twitter, it's on YouTube, you can find it. But he's just talking about like his struggles that he's had, since getting sick and then coming back. And he talks about how like his doctor was like, he's like, when can I go back to wrestling? Like, when can I start training again? And the doctor's like, bud, We don't know if you're gonna live a normal life, let alone wrestle.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
But that's so Kenny Omega to be like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. My vertigo's gone. We got my shoulder stuff done.
My sports hernia, my knees.
Yeah, all that's gone. So when are we putting me back out there, coach? Like,
that's crazy. And that's so inspirational. Like I was on Blue Sky and I typed up a quote that Kenny had said during the speech. And I was like, every time I feel sad about finishing my PhD and I feel like giving up, I'm gonna be like, but Kenny Omega almost died for his passion, and he still didn't give up. So stop being such a whiner and follow your dreams. That's the end.
Fine. I'll follow my dreams. I'm gonna become a hot dog vendor.
I low key, and this is gonna sound sarcastic, but I don't mean it to be. I would love to work in food. Like, food makes people so happy, and I would just. I've thought about this for a lot of my life. I'm being completely real and vulnerable with you. I would love that. Like, could you imagine you work at a restaurant or you open a restaurant and you make something that people love so much that they keep coming back for it and they think about it?
So, I've never opened up a restaurant, but I've worked in the service industry for a good chunk of my 20s. And let me tell you, it is nice providing a product that people return for, but it also sucks because the bad customers who are enabled keep coming back. Oh, I know the owner, and I go to church with the owner, and it's like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not paid enough for this. And it was always so fun as a bartender throwing out giant man children because they were overserved, rightfully, smashed.
I think I would enjoy that.
I love it. I love being a bartender. My
jobs in my life, I was a firefighter. I worked on a campaign, like a mayoral campaign. I worked in a library. I was a writer. I guess if you count wrestling podcasting, but it's not like my full-time thing. And now I teach history and I'm earning a PhD. I feel like I've lived 50 lives.
Yeah, that's like 50 lives. Yeah. My first job was Target and I got fired from Target for stealing.
What did you steal?
Makeup.
They don't miss that makeup.
I know, but I was 16. It was my first job.
You hire a 16-year-old, I feel like that's a risk you take. I'm going to be real.
I'm going to be honest. It was my first rodeo. Like, it was the first time I'd ever stolen anything. Yeah. And I just thought, nobody's watching. Learned real quick that they were like, we could press charges. And I looked at them and I said, for eyeliner and mascara?
That was it?
Yeah.
I feel like they're overreacting.
I mean, I shouldn't work there. They can't trust me to not steal things.
That's true. Also, you were 16. Mm-hmm. Kids will be kids.
I know. They didn't miss my 10 hours of availability,
I didn't have a job in high school, but I kind of wish I did. My dad was one of those parents that's like, school is your job. Which, yeah.
That's why you're so smart now. I
feel like I missed out.
Am I wrong?
No.
Am I wrong?
I do feel like I missed out on a lot in high school because I've talked about this on here before, I think. I did high school and then firefighting paramedic school, like, at the same time. And so
that's so insane. So you've probably seen some gnarly things.
Yeah, because you got to do like your ride along hours, and there's a lot of like video stuff that you have to do, and then training stuff. And the reason why I didn't go through with it was because I was so claustrophobic all the time.
Oh my god!
It's like the fire. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a fire truck. The fire trucks are very cramped on the inside, and then also like the SCBA, which is like your breathing apparatus. that is so claustrophobic. And you can hear yourself breathe, and you can hear the pulse of your heart because, like, obviously it's on your head.
What?
Yeah. So you're just in it, and you're like trying to think through, like, we're doing rescue drills, like search and rescue drills, or like wildfire drills. And you're just like constantly just ba-dum, 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 and then the sound of your breath at the same time. So I have all the respect in the world for firefighters because of that. And also all love and prayers to everybody in California, to the inmates who are fighting the fires, to the people volunteering to fight the fires, to the Canadians coming down to help, to everybody who's involved. Like, hats off to you guys.
I agree.
It's just like a terrible situation. Wildfires in general are terrible because to get a wildfire certification when you're a firefighter, it's a whole different animal. It's basically like a whole different type of firefighting. So, and it's like so much more physically demanding. You have to dig trenches. You have to wear your gear all the freaking time. It's hot. It's sweaty. You're downing electrolytes like they're candy. It's crazy. But back to Kenny Omega, because I don't want to get us too far off.
Imagine Kenny Omega being the firefighter that just puts out the fire of our hearts. I don't know.
I thought you were going to say something like the fire of the Death Riders angle.
Yeah, let's do that.
Like, okay. I was like, okay, transition.
I'm not that good. No.
So Kenny Omega's back, and like, in case you guys didn't watch Dynamite, just like brief recap. He comes out. They save him for the main event, which I have thoughts on.
Okay, they kept being like, Kenny Omega's here, guys. The commercial break.
They're just like,
Kenny Omega is coming. Commercial
like,
break.
We promise he's here.
Oh my gosh! Do you remember those episodes of like teen shows where they had like a musical guest or something in the middle of the show, and they always saved it to like the last part, that it's like, oh man, Britney Spears is gonna be on this episode, and then it's like she's not singing until like the end of the episode,
and she sings like half a song,
and half of it is like, because I'm thinking of the Gossip Girl episode where like Britney Spears is on it, and then they're just like, they're talking over her music, and I go, I just want to hear her.
But you know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of when Cody went to WWE and they had the countdown to Cody like timer.
Yeah.
That's what this reminded me of, because they always just popping it up in the bottom of the screen. Still to come tonight. Kenny Omega. Still to come.
Don't change that channel. Don't change that channel.
And this was, I thought, a good episode of Dynamite. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. Like, between Buddy and Will, to Hobbs winning the gauntlet, to like, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but sorry, it's been multiple days. And then Kenny comes out, he says, basically, the Kenny Omega who doesn't care about money and fame and power and vengeance. And then Don Callis comes out, and my heart dropped, because I do not need more Kenny Don Callis. But Kenny then just attacks Don Callis. So I don't care about vengeance.
Rightfully so.
Unless it's this guy.
Yeah. Amen.
He starts getting his licks in. He's beating him up, as he should. Beat his bald head in. Cave it in.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously he gets attacked by the Don Callis family. You know, Brian Cage, Lance Archer, Kyle Fletcher. And Will Ospreay saves him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Will Ospreay looks at him in the ring and says, I saved your ass. And Kenny's so mad.
So mad. But guess what? I'm into it. Let's go. Kyle Fletcher back with a crop top, by the way. Let's go.
He knows what people want.
Yeah.
Tony Khan was like, restore the feeling. How do we do that? Crop tops.
Crop top.
Crop top. And Hobbs. What did you think, one, of Hobbs winning the gauntlet to get the world title shot, but also Hobbs in the post-match interview with Renee, where he basically says, Jon Moxley brought me into this company, but now he's going to be my bitch. What did you think about this?
Okay, so first off, makes sense, because Hobbs injured himself in that match with Moxley. So lick for lick, I'm coming back for it. I love it. Give me 14 of them right now. Absolutely need it, because it shocked me that Hobbs won, because I wasn't thinking that.
I wasn't either.
This gauntlet match. I was just thinking, oh my God, they're doing another one. Oh my God, they're doing it. And then the Ricochet part where Swerve's music hit and it was like all color and life left Hangman.
Yes.
Like,
yes, it was so
and
good.
I said, oh my God, are you kidding me? And Ricochet comes out with his stupid ass Healy shit.
And he's like, it's my house, bitch.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. But Hobbs winning was the right decision. And then just that promo, because then it's like, oh, he's going to get okay. And then that interview with Renee, and he called him he's gonna make him his bitch. The face on Renee, like if you go back and watch it, it's just so like
I love her.
professional. Ah, oh, damn.
Great. Yeah, because she knows that Moxley's about to get his ass beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I loved this, and I love it even more now because if you didn't watch Collision, not too many spoilers because I know people like to watch it after. But there was like a standoff with Mox and Hobbs, and Mox was visibly terrified of Hobbs. So we are cooking. But so Hobbs gets the world title shot at Maximum Carnage, which is the special Dynamite and the special Collision next week.
Is everything a special something?
I guess.
I mean,
we do have a women's gauntlet, which I'm excited for.
Here's the thing. And I was going to put this on because you mentioned like doing lists and something I wanted to put on my list, but I was like, oh, they're kind of already doing it. So like putting it on my list is whatever. But I want to see more gauntlet, more tournament, more things incorporating more women's wrestling.
Yeah. I would love to have more like number one contender style matches, like things like that last a couple weeks of TV. Because we had the Toni Storm, Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale gauntlet qualifier to get like the number one spot, which I like the gauntlets that they're doing because if you have the number one spot, your chances of winning are actually higher. It's kind of like the inverse of like a battle royal because the gauntlet can end at any time, even if it's only number one and number two that are in there, which I hope they do one day eventually. Because I think that really like drives home the stipulation that like you don't want to be number 10. You want to be number one.
Yeah.
Which I think it would be fun. But I am excited for Hobbs. I don't think Hobbs is going to win the world title, which kind of gets back to Kenny, I guess. Because they seem dead set on this Darby thing. And
but he's going away. He's going to go climb that mountain. Gonna climb
so Sean reported every time I hear mountain, I think of country roads.
Oh,
take me home. But Sean reported on Fightful Select, which you guys should all subscribe to Fightful Select, that Darby is expected to be out for a couple months until the spring because you can't climb Mount Everest in the winter. But yes, you have to train to climb the mountain because you can't just climb a mountain. You have to know how to climb a mountain. So he's just out. So we're all just sitting here waiting. But now, like, I don't buy into any world title angle because I'm like, well, it doesn't matter until I don't know when exactly Darby's coming back. Spring. It doesn't matter because we're waiting for Darby. So, but I would love it if Hobbs got like a shock win. Like he just comes out Maximum Carnage and just dead. Like you remember when Mox and CM Punk did that world title match and Mox like squashed CM Punk essentially?
Yeah, loved it. Need more things like that.
I love those like shock value type match results. I think I would love it if Hobbs won. And it doesn't have to be like a crazy title run, right? Because like I think of like Samoa Joe, who had a really good world title run. It wasn't like an all-timer, but he was very stable. He held the title. He was consistent with the promos, consistent with the matches. I think it'd be fun, especially because it looks like they're angling for Kenny Ospreay tag situation / Kenny versus Ospreay / Kenny versus Takeshita. / whatever, because Kenny's wrestling Brian Cage on Maximum Carnage, which you guys know my thoughts on Brian Cage.
We all know everybody's thoughts on Brian Cage, because who's wearing a Brian Cage shirt? Where are those Brian Cage shirts? Who?
I don't even know if you showed me a Brian Cage design and you were like, is this a real shirt? I don't know if I would know if it was. I genuinely don't.
There is like one person probably who's on his
and it's shop. Mike in the chat.
Yeah, it's Mike.
It's Mike. I feel like every time we talk about Brian Cage, Mike shows up.
I know. It's the dog whistle in our voices when we say Brian Cage.
I mean, Kenny Omega is going to carry Brian Cage to a good match. And Brian Cage, he's excited about the match. He said he signed to AEW for the match. So I get it. And Kenny wanted the match too. You remember their cute little photo backstage in Mexico. It'll be fine. Would I have rather seen Kenny versus Lance Archer? Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's going to be fine. And I'm not expecting magic fireworks or anything. But I do think that, and I don't want to harp too much on the negatives of the Death Riders angle, but Kenny is world champion. We can't give it up. We need to carry this agenda.
So we're going to go into our lists?
Should we go? All right. Let me pull mine up.
Okay. So Kiley texted me yesterday and said, Hello. I'm planning for tomorrow's show, and I was wondering if you'd like to do a 2025 wrestling wish list for part of our show.
Yes. So we have both made wish lists of things that we want in 2025 wrestling, and you guys can chime in with yours as well. Remember, if you submit a super chat, your question, your comment will definitely get read on air. So keep that in mind. But just a few things that we would like to see in wrestling. And this kind of ties into my number one.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah. So number one on my wrestling wish list is Kenny Omega as a babyface versus Hangman Page as a heel, as an AEW world title match, the inverse of their first one, where Kenny was the heel and Hangman was the babyface. And then I want a reunion. I want Hangman to really go in beating up Kenny Omega, which Hangman Page promo from Collision, putting it in the back of my mind because I'm going to bring it up. Hangman beating up Kenny, but I want him to feel bad about it. I want him to feel so guilty that he's destroying poor Kenny Omega. And then crying and hugging in reunions, when the Golden Lovers reunited in New Japan, if you guys remember that. I need it. I don't need the Golden Lovers. I need Kenny and Hangman reunited. But did you see the Hangman promo from Collision?
Yeah. This morning,
good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So good. It was the most Hangman Page promo, cowboy shit Hangman Page, not evil arsonist Hangman Page. Cowboy shit Hangman promo in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I fear for Christopher Daniels' life.
Here's the thing. Christopher Daniels, while he's not he is having ad hoc matches, but him being a backstage figure, isn't that part of the job of you got to stay ring ready because your talent is going to turn on you at some point? And
I was talking with one of my friends, and he was I thought Christopher Daniels was retired. I thought I don't know if they ever did an official retirement run for Christopher Daniels.
Because he had that match versus Bryan when they were in Jacksonville, that it was I thought that he was coming out of retirement just to wrestle Danielson.
Because he hurt his eye.
Right, against the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Which is just now cleared, by the way. It's been
Isn't that bloody. Scary? It looked really scary too.
Yeah, for a very long time. Imagine your eye just being bloodshot for a long time.
I hope it didn't affect his vision or anything. But he had that, and then he he's had matches since, but I don't know if any of them have been branded as this is my retirement.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So I don't know, because they did the thing where he was, quote unquote fired by the Young Bucks. But I don't know. I don't know, like, also if this is Daniel's retirement match, because he also had a promo on Collision. He didn't say like this is the last match of my career, and Hangman didn't either. But it very much feels like this is the last solid run of good old CD. Again, just like my speculation, I don't know, but Hangman is gonna put him through the ringer, and it's Texas Death. Texas Death.
Hey, I like that shirt.
This is a good shirt too.
That's a good shirt. Now, one of the newer designs.
Yeah. This is from the Swerve one. Swerve Texas Death.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So good. And swing back to Kenny Omega, back to our wish list segment. Throwing it on that. During the promo, Hangman was saying things like, I have decided who I'm going to be, and like every day I say this is who I'm going to be, and there's no amount of violence or anything that I won't resort to make sure I'm not the person I was last year, meaning the person he was against Swerve, the violent, evil, mean person.
Okay, but we want that.
I know, I kind of want it too, but it does feel like they are saying to the audience, we know you want babyface Hangman Page. We know, like, at the drop of a hat, he will be the hottest babyface in AEW the moment we decide to do it. But we're going to tease it a little bit. So I think with the Christopher Daniels match, we're going to see him slipping into that ultra violent state and then pulling himself out, and like the conflict of like slipping back and forth and back and forth. And I do think eventually it will be the Elite or Kenny or all of them that kind of pulls him back from the brink and resolves that kind of issue. And like, for me, I would love it if it was like world champion Kenny Omega giving Hangman the title shot because he thinks it'll help Hangman stay afloat if he has something else to focus on that's not killing like himself or killing Swerve or killing like whoever, like all these things that make him feel like he's an awful human being. If he has something that says you're not a failure because you're chasing the world title or something. And then we get obviously the world title match. And then I just want a reunion. That's what I want.
Wouldn't that be nice? Will
AEW do it? Probably not. But I think they should. All right, and these are free ideas. I won't copyright these if AEW wants to take them.
So we are sending our responses to TonyKhan at AEW.com.
Tony Khan, listen, I said this to Kate. We were texting back and forth yesterday talking about Kenny. And I was like, if Tony Khan let women book an episode of Dynamite, I do think it would be the best Dynamite of the year.
Absolutely.
It was if it was not even just women, just like the Elite girlies, like our little group.
Yeah.
If it was like me, you, Kate, like Lyric and Charlie. Like if we booked a Dynamite, I fear it'd be the best.
Every segment would have Eddie Kingston on commentary.
Did you see Eddie and Cesar Bononi doing his beard? And he's so hairy. I
know. I loved it. If y'all don't know, Eddie Kingston's only social media right now is Instagram, and I've seen him lurking on Threads.
Yes. I think he used to be like really active on Threads, but I'm not on Threads anymore. So
you're not on Threads anymore.
Well, and Ryan Lambert says, I better see guys kissing if y'all book AW. I can't remember who it was. So if it was one of you or you know who it was, please tell me in the chat so I can give proper credit. They were circulating a clip from when Kenny was on Swerve's podcast where Swerve was talking about we need more romance in wrestling. Like we need not cheesy, like, I don't want to bring WWE into it, but Dominic Mysterio type romance angles, but like serious, heart-wrenching, dramatic, like romance that the crowd wants to root for type of stuff.
Yeah.
So Swerve wants it. Swerve wants romance. Kenny has already
to be kissed.
Yeah, and Kenny has already done romance angles. The whole Golden Lovers thing is a romance angle. So if they want to do it, I say let them do it.
Yeah.
I'm all for like diversifying the types of stories that we tell in wrestling. I think
Agreed.
that there's only so many times you can rehash the same story. But yeah, that's first on my wish list. Eddie Kingston.
All the love to Eddie Kingston. All right, first on my list is in WWE. I want the women's tag titles to feel important with more teams that seem worthy. And I didn't want to say I want the women's tag titles to main event a single pay-per-view. I would love that. I think that's possible? No, we're still in the bloodline story. I don't know.
Ugh.
But I want Jade to come back. I want more women's tag teams to seem important. If Shayna, Zoe, and Sonya are going to be this cute little faction, I want them to be so dominant they start like murdering people. Like, yeah. I need more women's tag teams because I think we all know singles matches and tag matches are a different type of wrestling. It brings out a different skill set. It brings out a different style of approaching a win. A win is a win here. So if you're heely, you're going to use heel tactics. If you're a babyface, you're going to get that big emotional win. Make it important and make it established. Yes, we can blur the lines a little bit with, some being single stars because we do have to fill up that part. But you have so many great women. And if you're going to use NXT also to bleed those lines, like Isla Dawn and Lyra being in that tag team together, make something like matter and make it a main event, because I don't know, I think they've been hot for a little bit, then they've gone away, then they've been hot for a little bit, and then they've gone away, and there just doesn't seem to be any momentum getting up with that. That's something that I would love to see for 2025, especially if we're going to have this build, since Jade's not going to be ready for Mania, right? That's what I hear, is that her injury is so bad she's not going to be able to be there for Mania. They got to figure things out. It could all be a work. I don't know, but they're trying to build Jade versus Bianca, which is like, okay, so is that what we're using the tag teams for women? It's like, how do we just get that? Like, I know that we now have these secondary titles, so you can have things separated like that, but you can have women's tag team. Like, there's enough to go around, and there's enough storylines that you can tell, more than we need to have a feud between these two wrestlers. So let's put them in a tag team together. Yeah. And then as we build, no, not everything is Hangman and Kenny Omega,
Yeah. And like, sometimes I feel like they use that the tag team breakup trope as like a crutch almost, when they don't know how to tell a more interesting story with the people they have.
Yeah.
And I agree about the women's division, because if if WWE is going to bring people up from NXT, and like have this constant cycle of people being signed into NXT, whether it's like independent talent or it's the collegiate athlete program that they're building where they train these athletes, if they're going to keep people moving, right, you have to have something for them to do, because like and this is something that I've talked about a little bit, but like, we're in a spot in wrestling where careers are longer, because medicine and sports medicine especially, and like all these advances in like nutrition and all this kind of stuff that's happening. And not to mention, and I'd hate to get dark, but we're not dealing so much with substance abuse problems and like the dangers of that. And like, there's more resources available for those kinds of struggles. Right. And so people are having longer careers. So like, you can't depend on retirements to keep the cycle moving.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have people coming in and you're constantly moving them up and not that many people are leaving from this side, you got to
We're
something for them to
stuck.
do.
Yeah.
And tag teams are so fun.
Mm-hmm.
So fun.
And I think it can kind of take people who are kind of directionless, right? That don't really have a personality and make something of it. I think Shayna Baszler has felt very directionless lately.
Agreed.
Because as I'm rewatching the Mae Young Classic, seeing how dominant she was in 2017, 2018, 2019, it's like, where did we go wrong with Shayna? Where did all of this crumble? And
the vampire thing.
Yeah.
It all comes back. That was like, that killed all the momentum she had. And they haven't done anything intentional really to build her back up.
Yeah. So if this tag team that she's in is being built to make someone look good, okay. But I want it to be something more. I want more for that. So
yeah, and it's kind of crazy because I do think that WWE has a really, really strong women's division, even without Charlotte and Becky, who are not there right now. They're both out.
Which is insane.
Yeah, which I think Charlotte and Becky are all-timers, right? Like they've spent a long time building the division around them. So you have these new like mid-card titles for the women. They're having a lot of great matchups competing for the titles. What a tag division would be fun, especially because on the men's side, you have the bloodline, which is kind of like suffocating a lot of what's happening in the men's division, in not in just terms of titles, but in terms of like screen time and space, because there's so many people in the bloodline and so many people that are like tangentially feuding or part of the bloodline, like that web. It's like the Jericho vortex. It's the bloodline vortex. Like Cody's in there. And because Cody's in there, it's like, so are Drew and CM Punk and Seth. And like all these people are just like, this is WWE is like this. These are our guys. And they're all connected, which is good because WWE needs more layered stories like that. But I think the problem is they spent so much of last year saying, you know who is a main eventer? Solo Sikoa. You know who else is a main eventer? The Usos. And the fans didn't really buy it. And Cody's title reign suffered for it. And like, that's a different thing. But if you're going to do all that with the men, you work great with the women. Like you could just, there are so many talented women who would pull out those like banger matches just for the heck of it that people like from AEW.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of WWE fans who want that. Just send out people, have a banger match. Because I hate the misnomer that WWE fans don't like wrestling. They like, sitcoms. They like drama. That's not really true.
That's not it.
It's not true. I mean, there are some who only like the drama of it all, which is fair. Consume wrestling how you want to consume it.
I mean, talent-wise, it's very even, right? For AEW and WWE, and even, I think, some people in TNA, which I think they'll eventually go to WWE with Joe Hendry and Jordan Grace.
Yeah.
But I think the production value is what makes them different. I think that the way that they storytell is different. I think that WWE still tells the story of, hey guys, this is a thing that's happening. Did you guys see that? Did you see that? Did you see that thing? Do you see?
Yeah.
We're going to do all these video packages and do you see that the thing is coming? Because they need that with the fans that they have. Where AEW, I think, could be better at doing more of those backstage or side promos or a little documentary, something to go over things. And I think that they're getting better at that, I think, especially with uploading things on their YouTube if you are paying attention.
Yeah.
But it's just a different way to approach the same thing, which is people wrestling in a ring. One person wins, one person doesn't.
Yeah. And I think what WWE is really benefiting from now it's like people like Tiffany, and then also a lot of the people in NXT is that they have a lot of people who grew up as wrestling fans or have become wrestling fans, and they're not just bodybuilders that are there because they look good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're beautiful people. Like Tiffany is beautiful. I'm not knocking her, but like to hear her talk about wrestling and like the things that she likes in wrestling, or like other people in NXT, like Roxanne, for example, someone who knows wrestling, loves wrestling, is in it for the love of the game. WWE could really benefit from those kinds of people because, one, they obviously satisfy whatever WWE casual fans are left, like what they like, the drama, the acting, whatever. I don't know. I don't pretend to know those people. But you also, because you have someone like Roxanne, to continue with the example, who comes in and knows wrestling and can have those kind of work rate style matches that the wrestling fans like, all of a sudden now you're reopening that door to this other audience. And not everything on WWE has to be AEW style stuff or New Japan style stuff, just work rate matches, one after the other. Like you can have the WWE style shows with the segments and the promos and the video packages and whatever, but you can do more variety when you have people who know and love wrestling as intensely as these younger people do because they grew up with it. And that's kind of where AEW has shined in the last 5 years, is that they have, for better or for worse, some goofy stuff that some people like, so other people don't. But then on a random Wednesday, Buddy Matthews and Will Ospreay can pull out a banger.
Absolutely.
And WWE can do that. And they would be fine doing it. But like, and I don't want to get too negative because you guys know my thoughts on WWE. The formula that Vince McMahon established made billions. And so there's really no reason for WWE to pivot from it all that much because it's still making a ton of money. So,
I mean, make your money where you are. I'm just gonna, especially with what's come out about WWE accepting a certain Terry beer, a real American beer. I don't know.
And World Rumble in Saudi Arabia, and now
Royal
also
Rumble.
The new boxing league.
It doesn't sit well with me. And I do want to acknowledge that like the things, the way the WWE moves, it doesn't sit well with us.
Yeah.
We live in a capitalistic hellscape.
Yeah.
I don't know what way to kind of, where do you draw the line? I personally don't watch any of those Saudi Arabia shows. I will continue to not do that. I will continue to not really do WWE post shows or watch alongs anymore. Because I don't want to do that. But I can admire the product in my own space with my own money. Just not publicly going, hey guys, you should watch this. I don't care if you watch it. I don't care if you just watch the clips online. I don't care if you just do whatever.
Yeah. And if you're in Florida, you know it's every day is at Hulk Hogan Day in Florida.
Every day.
On my wish list, I also had WWE get some pizzazz. And I basically just elaborated on what I mean by that. Like WWE oomph that isn't just, here's The Rock, and The Rock is going to get whatever match he wants.
You know he's not going to be at WrestleMania. He's not going to be at WrestleMania.
He could show up at WrestleMania and be like, give me a match, and they would have to.
And then,
So, like, okay. And then it's like, oh, did you know that CM Punk and Drew McIntyre don't like each other? Yeah.
Still.
Oh, and also Seth Rollins is somehow here as well. Whatever. To get some pizzazz. That's what I mean by that. Like, be creative, do something. But something that's kind of a dumb one, like a short one, but I've wanted it for a long time. AEW putting the logo back on the ring mat. Like, it seems like it's kind of a dumb one.
I forgot about that it's gone.
Yeah, and it's like kind of a dumb one, and it doesn't really matter all that much at the end of the day. But I've been watching some old AEW because obviously there's some older stuff on Max, and like Triller has given me like every AEW pay-per-view ever, like even the ones I didn't buy. So I've been watching those.
You didn't they give you everything?
Every Ring of Honor show and every AEW show.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've been watching.
I don't have that.
Huh. I feel like because there's a couple people I've talked to
hacked the
talking to them as
system.
well. So I maybe it's a glitch in the matrix. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
But the vibes of having the AEW logo there, I don't know. I just kind of vibe with it. I kind of like it. And it doesn't mean that much ultimately at the end of the day because it's just branding.
Right.
But I don't know, like
but better branding. I love it.
Yeah, and like something about having the AEW logo there brings me back to 2019. And I feel that nostalgia for that era, which, mind you, Chad, the wrestling of 2019 in AEW was not as good as 2025, no matter what people say. Okay.
Yeah.
We have like rose tinted glasses, all that kind of stuff. But like the vibes were immaculate.
Yeah.
Like it was peak. And so it just brings me back to there. And I just think it looks cool. Sometimes we can do things just because it looks cool. Like you want to do flippy flippies? Do flippy flippies because it looks cool. I don't care.
It's going on in both companies.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is how it's presented to you, you know? It's interesting you say that about the AEW logo being back on the ring mat, because one of my wish list items is that ROH becomes more distinct than AEW. And I would like it to have better week-to-week shows. I do want them to succeed, but if you're going to have AEW marketing right on the ring mat, do you carry that into Ring of Honor tapings? Do we have more of those series tapings that they had in Texas? Because that's what I would love to see.
Yeah,
I would love to see more of those because they actually felt like they were intentionally booked.
Yeah. I don't know, like, and maybe someone has reported on it and I've just missed it. I don't know where we are with the Ring of Honor TV deal, if Ring of Honor is still getting a TV deal, but I would like them to act with more intention and wake up and be like, oh, Ring of Honor is actually its own promotion with its own roster.
Yeah, agreed.
And I don't know if that means like pushing Ring of Honor, like advertising on AEW TV. I don't know if that means like a rebrand.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like you have, like Athena has been there for so long.
I know. I want to see her venture out of Ring of Honor eventually, but if we carried it into more defined lines of, I mean, you can have some, surprise appearances.
Yeah.
But we need Chris Jericho off our screen with that belt. We need to have those title matches not on AEW television. We need it on Ring of Honor television. I don't understand why that's so hard.
I don't know either.
I don't know why that is so hard for them, but I need Ring of Honor to feel separate.
Yeah. And I've tried to like come up with reasons. One, why Ring of Honor doesn't feel separate, and two, why Athena hasn't been on AEW TV, and I can't come up with any reasonable ones. But like, if you watch the Chris Jericho Dax Harwood match, Ring of Honor deserves better. I'm like, I understand why Chris Jericho has the title.
Yeah.
But also, we need to think realistically here and think, what is the identity of Ring of Honor going to be? So like, is Ring of Honor going to be the developmental of AEW? If so, you need to brand it as such and operate as though that's what it is. Or is Ring of Honor going to be like a secondary territory where people can shift in and out between Ring of Honor and AEW to keep things feeling less stale and more fresh and all of that? If so, you need to brand it as such. And they haven't. It's just been like, we bought Ring of Honor because Ring of Honor was on the verge of death.
Right.
And now we have all these titles to play with. And then it was like, oh, fans actually don't like seeing all these titles on AWTV. So we're going to do Ring of Honor shows. And there's like no stability in it.
Right.
Like some Ring of Honor episodes, there's banger matches. Like they pull out matches. Sometimes it's series of squashes and like some story building. But it's like, am I supposed to think of Ring of Honor as AEW developmental? If so, why hasn't Athena been promoted from developmental?
Because I think that she's earned it.
She's more than earned it. And if it's also developmental, why is Chris Jericho world champion?
Why?
And so then it's like, oh, is it a secondary territory where, you know, you can get a little funky fresh with stuff without like the burden of the brand split and dividing a roster? If so, why aren't people coming from Ring of Honor to AEW?
I don't know. I think the additional price point is that like
the paywall. Yeah.
Yeah, the paywall. Yeah. People see that additional paywall and don't see it accessible enough. I think that the app itself sucks so much. It sucks.
Yeah.
You want to charge people $10 a month, and then when you search for things that it doesn't even pop up in search. So I have to go through by year and then scroll. Like, no, that's not how I want to see things. I also want to see return to all streaming websites of, if I want to watch a certain episode, give me the match breakdown. Because guess who does that? New Japan has that.
And it's so good.
It's so good. Because when I went to rewatch or watch Wrestle Kingdom after I watched Wrestle Dynasty, it's broken down by match. So I can just, while the thing is up, go, oh, I actually want to watch this third match. You know, I don't want to go through the first two matches. I actually want to watch this third one. Let me go back and watch that first one. Yeah. You can do that. You can hop around.
Yeah. Which I love.
Yeah. And that was something that the WWE network had when it was still around.
Because that's something I like to do. It's like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I really want to watch this match from this pay-per-view. And sometimes it's a pain to like fast forward through, and then you're halfway through the match. You got to back up. Mm-hmm. That's like a big issue with AEW pay-per-views with their current streaming services. That's like all or nothing. But
I know.
Not great.
It's not that hard to kind of, you know, make that a priority.
There's like quality of life things with streaming services. That should be on my wish list.
Yeah.
Quality of life with streaming services. Because Max is also a little bit confusing when it comes to AEW. Because, like, first of all, I've saved AEW to my stuff so many times, and it's not there.
And it's not there. It disappears. Why?
What's the point of it?
What?
I don't know. I have to go and search for AEW, and then it shows up everything that is, you know, tagged as AEW, and you have to like find the one that says upcoming because that's
upcoming because that's the
You can't just go to AEW all episodes. You have to scroll to find. It's so bad.
It is bad.
Max, fix it.
Fix it.
The quality of the streams, though, impeccable.
Max, the app, for me, not always great. Because even other shows that I've watched on Max, like Euphoria, like some of the documentaries that I watch are only found on Max. When I was watching the Sex and the City spinoff, I didn't even remember what it's called. I stopped watching it because it's so terrible. But even those things are still saved in my list or whatever.
Yeah. I have in my list like some horror movies that I like to rewatch. And those don't disappear.
Right. They don't disappear.
I don't understand it. Maybe someone else like knows what's going on. And maybe it's because it's episodic that the new episode comes out, but you've only saved the past episode. I don't know. It's like...
It's ridiculous, though.
It is.
It should be all in one and like like Peacock, there should be a little icon, and it's just the AEW one. If you're going to be investing the money into that and you want people to pay that $16 price point or whatever for no ads,
yeah,
you got to make it.
I will say Max, I didn't have Max before AEW, but I've been enjoying it. So I just need like some quality of life stuff with streaming, and then also quality of life stuff with YouTube clips.
Yeah.
Sometimes they cut them off before it gets to the part that I actually want to see. Or like they only clip the things from the shows that I don't care about. It's social media as well. Quality of life. The AEW social media person on Blue Sky, whoever they are, I love them.
They're great.
They are so, I don't know who it is, but they are so great. Like I tweet, but people just post stuff about Blue Sky and then AEW social media person is there and they're so loving. Like the other day I posted, I'm so glad AEW exists. And they're like, oh, we're so glad you exist too. That's so nice of them. I love that. Blue Sky is my favorite.
It makes social media fun again. You want to know what's also on my list, by the way? What? Making social media fun? Bring back Total Divas.
Yes.
Come on, just do it. We have film for 6 weeks. Even just do we don't need the over dramatized storylines, especially with Natty. Like Natty is just the staple that combines us all together. But those backstage relationships into WrestleMania would be so fun. I want to see the backstage stuff. I want to see like out of the ring who is like hanging out, who is like having those times. I want to see Natty slapping the piss out of someone. Like, I just want to see it.
Total Divas was also just a good time. Like, you didn't even need to watch wrestling to enjoy Total Divas. Like, it was such a good reality show. And like with this generation, like a new one with like a whole new cast with like the new talent and stuff. Yeah, so fun.
I want to see like the life of Roxanne Perez. I want to see the life of, Isla Dawn, because I feel like Isla Dawn is probably very similar to this spooky character that she's portraying. Yeah. Like, give me some of that. Give me some of these newbies in NXT. Because do you remember that the first 2 seasons of Total Divas? It was like JoJo and Eva Marie, these newbies being entered into the veterans, the Bellas and Natty is feeling like, gosh, these guys don't, the backstage people, they trust me to get the job done and do these great things. When is it going to be my time to shine? And I want to see those things. I know that AEW had AEW Backstage. Bring that back. Like, I want to see more backstage non-wrestling storylines where I want to see a glimpse into people's lives. Even just a couple, like, like knock the producing off. Like, I don't want to see overproduced garbage again. I just want to see like some sort of reality. Make it fun for me, because there are so many female wrestling fans who are wrestling fans again because of Total Divas.
Because of Total Divas, yes. And Total Bellas. Yeah. And I think that's part of like the AEW nostalgia, because back then everybody had a vlog. And so like you could see you could see like the inner workings of AEW, like, and events from different perspectives, because you had Being the Elite and Sammy had a vlog and Ethan Page had a vlog and the Bunny had a vlog and like everybody had a vlog. And I kind of liked that.
I loved it.
Big Man Dog says, I think they are producing a new NXT reality show that'll be about new recruits. I want
to see that. I will be the first person to do some sort of review about it. Like, I want to see things about that. Come on.
Because if you think about like the NFL has a backstage show, like that kind of stuff, it would be a lot of fun. I don't know if they would ever like completely resurrect Total Divas, but please Please think about it.
And I'm going to tell you guys something. From what I know from, because I have friends who used to intern for Bravo. Okay. The overhead cost of a reality show compared to a scripted show is drastically lower.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay residuals. The editing is where you're going to find a lot of that money spent, but you don't have to have a set. Like you get permits to record in like, specific places. You cut them deals. You're promoting the product. Win-win.
Yeah, as long as it's not another Triple H ego show, I'm into it. As long as it's not that, I think we'll be fine.
I mean,
it would just be. I just love backstage stuff. Like I love interviews because you get to hear about the backstage stuff. I'm the kind of person where I like understanding how stories come to be. Like who thought of it? How did it evolve over time? And then also like, how does a show come to be? Like, how are we producing it? What are the struggles? Like that part of wrestling, I really enjoy. I really do.
Absolutely.
I love this one.
And you know what I loved is that every segment of that the women came on at WWE when Total Divas was on, they talked about it. They promoted it. They said, this is where you can watch it. That's what was missing from AEW All Access, is because they said, guys, it's premiering. And it's like, where can you watch it? I don't know. You can watch it online? Put it on YouTube, for goodness sake. Like,
yeah,
there's your return on investment. Come on. That's why I think that AEW is so fun and popular for people, is because it is a little glimpse into these people that you see performing week after week. But also RJ City is a menace to society, and I want that clipped. He is a menace to society, and we should all be scared. Gird your loins, board up your home, because RJ City is coming, and he's going to find out some weird dirt about you. The things that he finds. I'm like, are you writing the Wikipedia articles? Because what?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I just imagine RJ City is like at his house, just furiously
he's making up these rumors.
He's like combing through census records and tax data. And he's finding the tea.
I can't remember who he asked recently, but he asked someone that they were like, I heard that your first job was at like, Ace Hardware. And they were like, Ace Hardware? How do you know that? How do you know that my first job was at like a hardware store? And he's like, well, that's just what I found out. And he's like, that's not even on my Wikipedia. And it's like, how are you finding out this information, RJ City? Are you calling up their mom? Like, I want to know that.
Maybe that's how it happened. Maybe. But I love AEW, but I also I love Renee's show, like her little one-on-one interview show, like just learning about people. But also, I wish we would in AEW we would do a little bit more of like, you remember back in the day, and JR would do.
Oh no. Am I frozen?
Am
I frozen? Chat, tell me if I'm frozen. Oh no. Kylie's going on and she has no idea what's happening. Kylie's frozen. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. It's all Kylie's fault. I was waiting. I thought it was me. No. You sound like a robot. You sound like a robot.
StreamYard is a little Wi-Fi warning.
It is wild. Are you still there?
Yeah. Are you?
I don't know what's happening. You cut off. You cut off when you were talking about JR. Are you back?
Am I back?
I think you're back. You were cut off when you were talking about JR.
Oh, I was going to say, you remember when JR used to do those like sit down backstage interviews and they were like really intense. I want those back.
Yes.
Those were fun.
Yeah.
And those really like that interview when it was like Kenny and Hangman and the Bucks, that like kickstarted Hangman.
Yeah.
We need that. We need like more just like stuff that blurs the lines, I guess is the conclusion here between like reality and kayfabe. I love that kind of stuff.
I agree.
Which I think is why the Hangman promo from Collision was so good, because he starts out saying like, I've done everything I can to protect my family from the intrusions of fame and everything that comes with it, which wrestling fans are creepy, so I respect it, especially when there's children involved. And I don't know, I just love that kind of stuff.
I want to know, by the way, I know that they brought it back to Collision. The Saturday night is, the Saturday Night for Fighting song by Elton John. That's back. But do you like that the Collision before the, opening music starts, that they're doing their little, Harley and Mariah May made me laugh so hard that I missed what the guys were saying. But it's so funny to me because it does set up the show where it's, their backstage parts. Do you like that's back?
I do, because I want Collision to have its own kind of feel.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that AEW should have a brand split per se, but I do like the idea of Collision being its own animal and Dynamite being its own animal. Like the vibe's different instead of Dynamite 1 and Dynamite 2. Because Dynamite is always going to be the show.
It is.
Collision can still be fun and have its own sort of energy, its own sort of vibe. I just need Collision to not be so centered on the same people all of the time. Like it's always FTR and Chris Jericho. And that's what I think we needed a little bit different. I did love having Tony Schiavone back on commentary.
I miss Tony Schiavone.
I did. There's a picture, and maybe I'll post it. It's me and my sister with Tony Schiavone, and he looks like our dad.
I'm so jealous.
He looks like our dad, like dropping us off, like for school. I have to send it to you when we're done.
I need it.
It's one of my favorite pictures. I have so many just like weird wrestling pictures. Like I have a picture with the Varsity Blondes, and we're in a gymnasium. I'll have to dig it out. I have like weird. I'll you know what? Maybe we'll do like a wrestling photo of the week now. Wrestling shirt.
I love it.
Wrestling photo of the week. We'll do it. But one thing that it's kind of related to this Total Divas discussion on my wish list is more women on commentary.
Yes.
Because like we have strong, media commentary people in AEW and in WWE, but I would love to have maybe, Veda Scott's out there. Maybe there's some other like independent wrestling promoter commentators that I don't know, but I don't think Renee, because I think Renee has talked a lot about how she didn't like doing commentary.
Yeah.
But just having more women on commentary and having like a variety of voices and different perspectives. And because I do think that AEW's, especially when Ian Riccaboni was on commentary for Dynamite, it showed that like when there's a little twist in who's talking, it makes things a little bit more interesting. And I would just love to have more women on commentary, because I think that's where in wrestling, women are always a little bit at a disadvantage. But I think that's one spot where women are at a severe disadvantage is commentary for whatever reason.
Why is Veda Scott not hired by a major promotion?
I don't know. Which is weird to me.
They are Veda so Scott good.
Stays booked. Yeah, stays booked.
Yeah, because of how good they are.
Yeah, so
why?
And like I don't know if it's a thing where there's people who just want to be on the independent scene and they don't want to be booked by AEW or WWE, which is fair enough. I respect it. But I don't know. Like you think about famous wrestling commentators, and it's the JRs of the world, Tony Schiavone, it's Excalibur, it's Michael Cole, it's Pat McAfee. If you're Corey Graves, if that's your T. But like Where are the women? Even just like sometimes AEW or WWE will put like someone's opponent on commentary while they're having a match, like the guest commentator thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun little mix up. You just need to cycle different personalities in and out of commentary, because if you have Excalibur and you have Tony Schiavone and they do Taz a lot, but I guess Ian Riccaboni is there in that group now as well, and sometimes it's JR, and sometimes it's Daddy Magic. Like, cycling them, yes, because they're all very different in what they bring in their personalities. Where's Lexi Nair?
Lexi Nair is so fun.
So fun.
She's so fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, there are so many great people in the indies. I was in like a workshop recently where we talked about voices in wrestling, and just keep going. Just keep, if you get one no, apply 5 more times. We need more female voices on commentary. And I think where people get lost is that they go, oh, well, women are too emotional. Like, women can't, execute a message. I'm going to let you know, it is hard to do commentary.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard to get your stuff in.
Yeah.
But the reason why it is a male-dominating industry is because misogyny.
Yeah. Well, and I also think misogyny and racism and things like that, they're still very much present. But I also think it's also a fundamental, gendered consumption of wrestling. And I mean that in the sense that I think females consume wrestling sometimes in different ways than male fans do. And obviously gender socialization, and, consult a sociologist for all of that, because that's not me.
Yeah.
But I also think that men don't seem to realize that, because in my experience as an elite girly, and now we're officially branded in wrestling forever as the elite girlies.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestle Talk has referred to us as the elite girlies. It's just who we are now. People seem to think that is an insane thing. They just doesn't belong in wrestling, all of the stuff that comes with it. And then obviously I think there's broader critiques of fangirls and how, girls consume stuff as girls.
I'm personally just sick of hearing men openly objectify women on commentary and have that be the only piece of commentary in your matches.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that men, especially, promoters and bookers, this is not an AEW WWE thing. I think it's a broader wrestling thing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to create wrestling that the female audience invests in. And I think that's why the elite have gotten so big, because they appeal to the work rate, masculine, oh my god, male side of stuff. But then there's the emotional, intense, story driven style of wrestling for the female gaze.
Okay.
And I think that I'm not saying that men don't like the emotional stories and that women, I don't believe in gender dichotomy in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that there's a key difference in how, at least in North America, how people are brought up to consume entertainment. So I think that it also comes down to the fact that a woman on commentary might say things that are a little bit different than what a man in her spot might say, because she's consuming things and different. I also think that's a benefit. We talk all the time about, AEW is not appealing to the female demo, and demo this and demo that and blah, blah, blah. But
are you talking out of your ass?
Yeah. And what do you understand how women consume wrestling by and large? Yes, Omega Okada work rate classics, I'm seated.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very much into the aspects of fraternity and the aspects of sisterhood and the emotional upheaval of wrestling in that way as an art form. And I think we've gotten in a spot where it's women are kind of looked down on for consuming wrestling in that way. And then men also, if they consume wrestling in that way, it becomes like a homophobia thing. And which we've seen a lot with the Kenny Omega discourse. But it's like, I don't know. It's just a little bit different.
I feel like there are, I mean, I was also thinking about Val Capone. Anytime that you've watched a, you know, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, usually it's Val that's on commentary. And when Val and Veda are together, they talk so much about the history of that wrestler, things that you would have to, I would have to statistically analyze and go look up things. Like, they come prepared, they come with notes, and they know what they're talking about. But why are they not getting the shine that some of these men are getting?
Yeah.
And I don't know of a single person who doesn't think that they know what they are doing, but why are we not giving them the opportunity? I know that Ring of Honor has always had, you know, very dynamic voices on there. I think that, you know, Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman, thank you. I think that they do a great job riffing off each other, and then there is a difference between the 2-man booth and the 3-man booth.
Yeah.
But not having a women on commentary sucks, because there are things that men say that is, I want to slap them upside their head, and they're not even being a heel. They're just being misogynistic, especially during the Mercedes and Chris Statlander match. I'm so sorry to, I don't want to go negative here, but during the Full Gear match between Mercedes and Chris, if you listen to commentary, you're going to understand the difference between that and what they did in the main event. The main event felt so important, but all of a sudden we're at Chris and Mercedes and we're talking about, you know, things that don't matter. There's a weird quiet part of it that they're not really saying anything.
Yeah.
And why are we not talking about history? Why aren't women given the same opportunities, and why are we having to work 10 times harder to get to those spots, you know?
Yeah, and I also think I'm scrolling through chat. Tanner says, I wonder if there's a bit of spillover from the overall sports world where 90% of the commentary teams are men, even in women's sports. And I think this reminds me of like the debate that's happening in like, especially the NFL and the NBA right now, about women, like female coaches and female analysts, like people seeing them as incapable of being authorities on the sport in the way that men are. Like they, sometimes like if a female analyst will be on like NFL and Fox, for example.
Yeah.
And people are like, I can't listen to her voice. Her voice is shrill. She's annoying. She's giggly. Like, obviously that kind of blatant sexism, but also this like implicit assumption that she's not an authority simply because of her gender. And so I think some of that comes over into wrestling, not because of the sports connection necessarily, just because a lot of wrestling is built on, if we're being real, misogyny and masculinity and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like there's all of this talk of like, why are women not watching wrestling anymore? Like, what happened to the women's audience? And then it's like these little remarks on commentary, like you mentioned, but it's also like the lack of women's time, obviously, all of that kind of stuff. But it's also the way that men are positioned as the only authorities on wrestling. So women just, and we see this in podcasting, and like, I don't want to like rant too much, but it's also like, nobody wants to listen to a woman talk about wrestling. Women have these annoying voices and everything they say is annoying, and I don't want to listen to them, and they don't know what they're talking about. Like, I get those remarks all of the time. And it's just disheartening because there's a lot of men who want wrestling to be just for men. No pun intended. and they want just men. They want just men in wrestling. They want just men consuming wrestling. They want just men talking about wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So when women build their communities, especially on the internet, now we have like this little community of like female AEW fans. They're always under attack because of it. And it confuses me. It confuses me because it's like, and also this, like she's a woman, she must have slept with someone. Get that all the time, nonstop. But I don't know. It's just, and I think women on commentary, or women not being on commentary, I think that's one part of the problem. But I think the gender dynamics of wrestling, especially in North America from WWE, if we're being real, like how things are presented, I think we're still kind of overcoming that. And I try to remind myself that it hasn't been that long since the height of the Divas era, peak misogyny, that kind of stuff. And I try to remind myself these things take time. Young people are getting involved in wrestling. There's a lot of women coming to wrestling and getting involved in wrestling in their own way. And things are changing. So I try to be patient with it. But commentary is one where it's tough. Because I can see spots, especially in women's matches, or like the really intense, emotional blood feud, like heartbreaker feuds.
Yeah.
I know a woman's voice would do so much. Like there's so much value there. So it's like, and I don't know what this, like obviously putting a woman on commentary is not going to solve all of our problems.
Right.
But I think it's a good step forward.
Yeah.
And sorry to get like super ranty with you guys. I didn't know that I was holding all that in.
I mean, that was also the thing that, you know, when I did commentary for 3-2-1 Battle, I kind of just jumped right in there. I have only had podcasting background. I'd only written a couple things for the music website that I was working for, and they just took a chance on me because they wanted a female voice. So when I joined, and then I'm not getting a word in edgewise, I had to fight to kind of bring myself to the table of, okay, if these guys are just coming in here and they don't have notes, they're just riffing, I'm coming in with papers, and I'm coming in with notebooks, and I'm coming in with, I've been watching what they're doing on social media, so I'm bringing that up on commentary. That's where I started feeling valued. And it's like, why am I working so hard just to feel validated here?
Yeah.
And you have someone who just, oh, by the way, this guy's going to join commentary for just this match. And it's like, where are his credentials? Where's his preparedness? And
that's like the female experience in like so many fields. It's like if you're a female, or you're like female presenting, then it's like immediately your stock drops and you have to crawl to get back to baseline where men can sit and enjoy life
and rot.
Yeah. It's brutal out here. And I shout out, like, major respect to our audience for not, because it's so easy for wrestling fans to come in and be like, oh, what are you talking about? We don't want to hear about this, whatever. But I think we have a good audience here. So I shout out to you guys. And thank you for letting me get that off my chest. Because, like,
I mean, even what Lizzie said over here, that JR's casual misogyny of these ladies aren't afraid of breaking a nail.
Yeah.
And now it pisses me off too. And that's something that I was mentioning. I didn't want to.
Or like the word Jezebel.
She's a Jezebel. Okay. Leave. Do most people know what Jezebel woman is?
I don't think so. I have a lot of respect for JR in the sense that he's the voice of my childhood.
Sure.
He has done a lot for wrestling, but I also think sometimes his age shows. And this is another issue, and I think I might like write something about this at some point, like ageism.
Okay, let's do it.
Because like I'll save it for another time because I have other stuff on my wish list that's a little more fun and
yeah, I want to hear your fun things.
So one of the things I have on here on my 2025 wish list is a major Claudio Castagnoli push. And
ooh,
I was thinking about it because someone had put on Blue Sky, you know, why would the Death Riders be defeated by an outsider when the Death Riders are full of people who are high quality wrestlers who could defeat Jon Moxley from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And like the first one that came to my mind was obviously Claudio, because he's been sort of like the Lancelot to Moxley's King Arthur. Like he's very much like his little knight who stands by his side, is loyal to the end, whatever. But then obviously, if you know the story, Lancelot betrays King Arthur. And so I was thinking about that because I don't want Pac to be the one, because I want Pac to go and do Will Ospreay, Takeshita singles match, international title, work rate title stuff, right? But Claudio, the story between Claudio and Moxley would be so fun because they've been tied together for ages, and it's been unquestioned that Claudio and Moxley, they're allies in this fight. Claudio literally at some point dragging Moxley's body out of the ring to save him from attacks. So I don't know if Claudio's like I would love Claudio to have world title, but Mox versus Claudio would be a good match. And also I think it would really kickstart Claudio into a singles run where he hasn't had, because he's always been Blackpool Combat Club.
Sure.
Now Death Riders. Like Claudio on his own, I think is really interesting. And then obviously there's a ton of matches then. Because like if you Claudio in the international title scene, Claudio, I don't want to see him in the tag title scene, but Claudio could wrestle Pac. Claudio could wrestle Yuta. Like you could do a Death Riders Destruction thing. If they did intergender wrestling, I would love to see Claudio versus Marina. But like Claudio, like who was Claudio without Moxley? That's what I want to know.
He's got to figure that ish out.
And we've seen some of it in Japan, because Claudio's wrestled multiple times in Japan during, his time in AEW. We've seen some of that. Oh, my camera. Hold on.
Oh, bye, camera.
Hold on.
Can't see Kiley anymore. You're just a little circle.
Oh, what has this world come to?
Today's just trying for you.
I know. Back. I don't know what happened. She just took a nap, I guess.
No.
But I would love to see that. And also, like, I was thinking about this, and that's what led me to put this on my wish list. The G1. Like, what talent from AEW would I like to see in the G1? And, like, obviously, Takeshita. But, like, Brody King and Claudio. Brody King, and we said this.
I know.
The last one. Brody King is made for Japan.
I know. He should just have. I just want to. I posted about this. I just want a meat match. Just a meat match of Brody King, Hobbs. I forget who else I put in there. A Big Bill. Absolutely need.
Big Bill was so good last night against Cope.
Yeah, that opening match. Cope.
Texas Death. We're kind of matching. I don't know if you guys noticed that. It was unintentional too.
I know. Even our little, like, I got a skull on mine.
I got like a little skeleton man and a cowboy and a skeleton horse.
I just want all the meat. Everything. Meat. I think this year is the year of the meat. Give me more meat.
More meat.
Claudio, yes. Brody King, yes. Lance Archer, yes. Just give me more meat.
What did you... And I know you fell asleep during Collision, so if you didn't see it...
Okay. You're telling everyone! Yeah, I fell asleep at 7 p.m. last night. Jeez.
Did you see Adam Copeland backstage with Brody? So Brody had a match. It was just a squash match against a local talent who looked disturbingly like Jack Perry. Like they could have been twins. I thought it was Jack Perry at first in disguise. But Brody comes to the ring. Julia's with him. So like they're still a thing in the destruction of the House of Black.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the match, and then backstage, Brody's being interviewed, whatever. And Adam Copeland comes in and says, basically just puts him over. Says, you know, I know it's a confusing time for the House of Black, but I want you to know that you can do it. You're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I have faith in both of you, because Julia's there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Life is going to be fine. And I was like, that's so touching. A little random and strange.
I mean, we did get the rumor that Malachi is.
Yeah, Malachi is
leaving.
Is Dunzo. Which, whatever. I mean, he'll go on. He'll be fine. Like, he'll be fine. Nothing bad is going to happen. But I was talking with some people on Blue Sky because I was like, well, we could take the House of Black and we can rebrand it as the House of Heart, because I have always said that Julia is the leader of the House of Black. She should have been from the get-go the leader of the House of Black. I think that she is just incredible. And her little not tag team, but like partnership with Brody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really enjoyed it when they were doing that back in the day, you know, whenever that was. All time is a mystery to me. It's all blurred.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're going to continue that. So we might as well rebrand the House of Black, House of Heart, and like do some fun stuff in there. And like, I don't think Buddy needs to be involved. Like, I think I would love Buddy to be involved because I want Buddy to have anything he wants. But
yeah,
if he wants to go off and just be Buddy Matthews and have, you know, banger matches and do his thing, whatever, let him do it. But there's something special about Julia and Brody. So at the Adam Copeland thing was a little strange because he just walks in. He's like, yeah, we had a match, so I'm going to put you over. We had a match whenever it was, so I'm going to put you over and tell everybody how great you are and that you're going to be fine in this like confusing time. But it was kind of sweet. And like, that to me signals, okay, we had the Will Ospreay Buddy. We had the Adam Brody. Writings on the wall. House of Black is dead. But shout out Adam Copeland.
I know, he's always taking those misfit toys and he's going, let's make something of this.
If I hear Chris Jericho say, Cope, you dope, one more time, I'm going to rip my hair out. The amount of times I had to hear Chris Jericho say the word dope on this show was criminal.
Jericho can't sing, and he's a bozo. There you go.
But yeah, I don't know how we got so off track from my major Claudio push thing, but like, it did feel like Daniel Garcia versus Shibata was giving Daniel Garcia a little step up for like the TNT title picture, and he also called out Gabe Kidd, so having some fun there. I don't know if that match will happen, but it does feel like that was like Daniel Garcia's little oomph to get him back into like, not relevancy, but you know, relevancy. So maybe Claudio TNT champion situation, Claudio versus Daniel Garcia would slap. I just think that like Claudio being in the shadow of Moxley, like in kayfabe, that has to be stirring some kind of discontent inside of him. You would think, right?
Something.
So that's what I want. Major Claudio push. That's not trios titles. All right.
So what title does he go for?
Any of them. I don't know what they do with the trios titles. Like, presumably Copeland and FTR rated FTR. But then Copeland is also going for the world title. So I don't know, like...
Are we going to do another Adam Copeland takes the title from Moxley and then freaking Christian Cage cashes in? Is that's what we're in for?
If it's not Darby, I think that's like the most likely thing they would pivot to.
Okay, but like we do that and then Christian Cage and then in a couple months Darby comes back. Okay.
Which I don't want. It would be so easy for them to go, like in one episode of Dynamite, you could pivot to Moxley Omega and FTR versus Copeland and Cage.
Yeah.
With heel FTR. Like in one episode of Dynamite, they could do it. And they won't. They want to wait for... Tony Khan is like such a stickler for like waiting. for stories to align.
But he waits too long sometimes, man.
And right for a lot of things too. Like this is not our first rodeo with this, but I don't know. I do think that eventually we will get the international and continental titles merged, or we'll see RIP continental title, the death of it, because I think
because then that goes the Continental Classic, the C2, and I just figured out that C2 means Continental Classic.
I think they'll keep the Continental Classic, but I think they'll go full in on the Continental Classic is our G1. You earn a title shot vibes. I think they'll, because I do think that, and this is my conspiracy hat, mind you, yeah. I do think that they made the Continental Classic for the sole purpose of putting gold on Okada to have the visual of Okada with a belt in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he won it twice. So I think we will see either the retirement of the Continental title, just like we did the retirement of the FTW title, or we'll see the merger with the International. I would not be surprised if like Allin is like some kind of great reset, because it does seem like that would be where Darby would win the world title, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, unless he comes back in time to rebuild the program for Double or Nothing, then maybe. But I mean, Omega Okada, maybe that's for the Continental title. Maybe it's for both the International and the Continental title. Maybe it's a 3-way with Takeshita. Or maybe Omega beats Takeshita by then. I don't know.
That's insane.
But you know what? I am just vibing with my idea of a Claudio push.
We just need to get him in the title picture for sure. So.
Yeah, Tony Khan. I'm feeding you here. Free ideas. Take them. Do you remember? I don't remember what it was, but I randomly thought of this the other day when someone got that picture of Tony Khan with like the pay-per-view card written down, and people were like, "That's not the real card. Tony Khan wouldn't just walk around with this notebook open with the card." And then it was.
It was.
It did end up being the real card. Tony, man is never change.
Here's my thing is all these people, like all the qualities that he has, like to me just scream like neurodivergent, like oblivious man. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just think that like in everything, I think that he's just a fan. He's booking it like he's a fan.
And I think sometimes he's a fan, and I think he gets really excited about being friends with the people he's a fan of. Mm-hmm. That he makes bad decisions as a leader. But that's my critique. I get maybe for another episode.
That's hot take. That's a hot take.
It's a hot take, but like maybe in the future I'll do like a special where it's just what's wrong with AEW, and it'll just be me and maybe Collins just ranting. What's wrong with AEW?
Well, what's wrong with AEW is
maybe next time when we have a Wrestling Made Me Cry where nothing made us cry that week, we'll just pull that out of the hat. What's wrong with AEW?
One thing that is wrong with AEW is that Athena is not in AEW.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Like Athena for me, like I think you have to have Athena have a match at All In. But why aren't they building something for Athena at Revolution?
That's in March, right?
Yeah, like March 9th, I think. Something around there. Because they have the Grand Slam, which I don't think Grand Slam is a pay-per-view. Grand Slam is like February. And in Australia.
Yeah, I think it's just a Wednesday.
Yeah. And then Revolution. And then maybe a TV special, and then Double or Nothing.
Okay, so Grand Slam, February 15th. So in about a month, about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that leads into Revolution, which is March 9th.
Not that long after.
In LA, which is interesting, at the Crypto Arena.
Yeah. And it's also, this year's going to be interesting because Forbidden Door isn't until August. Mm-hmm. And All In is in July.
It's going to feel a little backwards this year, but I'm totally
excited. I'm excited.
I love the AEW Revolution, the new, I like that they're doing these new fonts and things look new. So we're getting a little fresh here.
Yeah.
Speaking of fresh, what just happened? Oh my gosh. My phone started a new note and I thought that all of my wish lists had gone.
Wishes are dead.
So we're not doing anything right now with Adam Cole, right? Like it just seems dead in the water right now.
Yeah.
I wish list wise would like him to go back to Ring of Honor. And I'm going to harp back to weeks ago when I said, I want him to come back. I want him to turn heel. I want him to turn heel on all of his friends. But not after reuniting the Undisputed Era. I mean, yeah, it's going to be Undisputed Kingdom, whatever. But I want them to get gold in Ring of Honor. But I want him to be Ring of Honor champion, appear on Ring of Honor, and just be the heel that we know that he was, promote some sort of Adam Cole collection in the Ring of Honor, Watch Honor Club, all the things. Just give me heel Adam Cole.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Because they kind of reunited Undisputed Era in the Gauntlet, like Kyle O'Reilly, Roddy, and Adam Cole. Mm-hmm. But the conglomeration was still on Kyle O'Reilly's Titantron, which I thought the conglomeration was dead.
I thought it was dead.
So maybe it was an error, or maybe we were not right. I don't know, but it definitely said conglomeration. So I don't know. But one, we need a new entrance song for our Undisputed Kingdom babies, because this Kingdom, like bad vibes, weirdness. No, get rid of it. We need something better. I don't think you need to go like full Shock the System NXT ripoff. Yeah. Because like I also saw people talking about Adam Cole should feud with Kyle O'Reilly. I don't need that right now. Yeah. I need them as a trio. And I also fully believe, and this was not my wish list, but it's something I was wishing for, the AEW trios titles, like the whole trios division, to be a Ring of Honor exclusive. Yeah. Because I think that's an easy way to cycle people in and out. And I think that like you could do that. I don't think that'd be a step down for them, like at all. And I think AEW's in the spot where they're having a lot of trouble keeping the mid card fresh, because it feels like everybody's on the same playing field. Mm-mm. And like there's no hierarchy in the mid card. Yeah. But like you also people like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, who are fantastic wrestlers, they're kind of like fading to the background, because right now Will Ospreay, Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher are fading to the foreground. Yeah. So it's like, but it's very hard to keep your talent like alive and fresh when that type of stuff is happening.
We're still doing the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would love for them to be in Ring of Honor. I would love for them to be, if you even just put them in a trios division and did a trios program, maybe with the Death Riders, I don't know, but like something to keep them doing something. Because like the more wrestling we get from the mid card, the better, because you can't just have the main event scene all the time. Because like sometimes it feels like we have world title and then the women's world title picture and like some Mercedes stuff, TBS title, and then it's like random fill-ins.
Oh, I'm here. Did I go away? I'm here.
Yeah, you got fuzzy for a second, but you're here. I think we're okay.
I'm not fuzzy.
but it like feels like we have bricks in the wall. Like we're like imagine AEW is a log cabin, and we're putting the logs in, and we have the world title, the men's world title, we have the women's world title, we have like our TBS title picture sometimes if they're pushing it, and then we have like a couple other hot acts, and then we have a bunch of teeny tiny bits of cloth that are the things that we can plug in. So it's like random Pac versus Commander match, and like Gauntlet with Adam Cole, and we're going to show you how awesome Adam Cole is. And then, here we're going to stick in a random like Tony Storm segment. Just like, but then every wall is completely different every week to the point where nothing feels because it's constantly moving. Like you have your logs and your logs are always the same, but it's the bits that fill in that keep the draft out that are always changing. So like that's why Private Party's in the situation they're in, because they win the titles. They were not supposed to, apparently. And like, poof, gone. And Daniel Garcia was in the same belt, but like in the same boat. But I think the Shibata match kind of like resurrected him a little bit. Maybe that's just me because I like the match so much. But I also think Ring of Honor needs to be stabilized. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. And I do think the way to do that is cycling talent in and out. Like Adam Cole to Ring of Honor, Athena to AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Or Chris Stat to Ring of Honor, or Red Velvet to AEW, or whatever you wanted to do. I think that is the answer. I think it is. So
we got a lot. We got a lot on our wish list.
I know. I had one last thing.
Okay, tell me your thing.
New crowd chants.
New
chants. I want chants because like we have Fight Forever. We have This Is Awesome. We have, you effed up or you sick F. Like we have those, right? And this really got me going last night because they were chanting what on Collision. And I wanted to stab someone. I hate that chant. If you chant what, you have one brain cell.
You have no brain cells.
What is such an annoying chant? The thing is, it's like Hangman Page was just talking.
Yeah.
You're giving this and it was a really good promo, and it's just what? Shut up. Get creative. And so I love because in AEW, we've had new chants introduced, the meat chant and the Osis or me daddy, good chants. We can get creative. I love Please Don't Die. Love that chant. When the crowd was chanting One Hit Wonder at MJF, love that.
Mm-hmm.
We can get a little creative with our chants.
He's our scumbag.
Our scumbag is really good. We can get a little bit creative. So why don't we get a little bit creative? Fight Forever should be saved for really special matches. You don't need to chant Fight Forever every single time.
I hate the Fight Forever chant.
I feel it's overdone now because it's instead of chanting This Is Awesome, we go, and I also feel This Is Wrestling is falling into the same cliche, because This Is Wrestling used to be a chant that you did at a match that was super innovative, right?
Yeah.
But now it's anytime you're having fun, it's This Is it starts This Is Awesome, then we get a Fight Forever, and we get a This Is Wrestling. I also love Both These Guys. That's just a fun one.
Both these
guys. I like that one. What needs to go? I hate the what chants. Get out of here.
What chants to me are low brain cell, no brain cell.
Yeah. Stop chanting for Don Callis or against Don Callis when someone.
Did you see the child dressed up as Don Callis at Collision?
Did you see the Sting doppelganger at Collision?
Yeah.
Was that actually Sting?
I don't know. I don't know Sting like that. So
who was that? Because I saw him and I'm like, is that Sting?
Yeah.
No, not Sting. Just a Sting doppelganger. Just a freakish clone of Sting. Insane.
It was good.
But we can get a little bit creative with our chants, we can invent some new ones. Obviously pull out Fight Forever if it's a classic. I don't think that wrestling has space. We don't need it. But things like what we should retire.
Please slow down.
Please slow down. What other chants do you think should be retired? Chat you as well. What chants do you think should be retired?
I mean, I think the what chants piss me off. I think the CM Punk chants piss me off. I don't need every WWE. I mean, at least that they stopped doing it at AEW for the most part.
Yeah.
But I don't want to hear CM Punk. I don't want to hear that. Sorry. He's come back to wrestling. Have your cake now, okay?
Yeah.
chants that have nothing to do with what's going on in the ring. If it's
like
just
chanting F Don Callis.
Yeah.
Every time you see Don Callis. Okay. If Don Callis does something dastardly, go for it. Oh, you still got it? That's a good one. Because you chant you still got it at Adam Copeland when he's been wrestling, back in wrestling for years. Of course he still got it.
Sorry, that's so funny.
And anytime there's an old person in the ring, they're like, you still got it. Yeah, they know.
Yeah.
They're a full-time wrestler.
Right now.
One. Tables. Or we want tables.
We want
if
tables.
There's a match.
The moment a street match starts, we want tables. Eat your ass first. Go home. Go home. Talk to your mom. Wait a little bit.
What really gets me is when the talent are clearly setting up for a cool spot, and all you can hear is "We want tables." Like they are doing something. Pay attention.
They're doing something actively right now. Or
Pay
like
attention.
the
drives me crazy.
That the Survivor Series War Games matches starts. It's like the moment that you're like, okay, cool. You want tables. We are in the first.
You always want tables.
Exchange. Okay,
we get it. Anytime there's like any situation where they won't get disqualified for using a table, it's like, we want tables. We get it. You always want tables, and the wrestlers, I promise you, they also know that you always
they
want
know
tables.
that they like those spots. Hello. Okay, so Wrestle Dynasty. I know that we talked last week so much ad nauseum about Gabe Kidd and Kenny Omega. After further analysis, the New Japan tables are thicker, yes, more narrow, but like, why they gotta be that thick?
I don't know. I've always wondered about that because every time I see a New Japan table, they're a lot more sturdier.
Yeah.
They
don't always break.
Yeah. And every time they do break, there's always a dent of the person's body in the table.
Yeah.
Because they don't like the tables we have like in North America, they break and they kind of like fall apart because they're just like
especially gimmicky.
They're like the cheap fiber
particle board.
Wood. Yeah. There, I'm guessing they're not like solid oak expensive tables, of course, but it's like,
oh my God, like, imagine being thrown into that. Oh,
someone's got to do it, but there's always like a dent of their body because they're like sturdy tables. Insane. I feel the same way about in Japan, because you know in WWE and now in AEW, like the guardrails around the ring, they're not the metal ones that jingle jangle.
Jingle.
I always wonder like what hurts more, the jingle jangle ones that move a lot when you get thrown into them, or the sturdier ones that aren't solid metal but they don't move.
We should ask someone like Nyla who I want to know. I'll send her a message.
Because I inquiring minds want to know.
Yep. I want to know. There's a lot for 2025. I'm excited for wrestling.
Me too. We talked a lot. This was an up and down show, but like Kenny Omega's back. Darby Allin is not.
Guys, did you know that Kenny Omega is back? Did you know that?
The fact that Darby Allin is off TV to learn to climb a mountain is the most Darby Allin thing ever.
I hope he doesn't die.
I'm like, I hope he doesn't die because I don't want that to happen to anybody. But like, what a situation they found themselves in. That's all you can say. What a situation they found themselves in.
What a situation. But
do you want to give your closing thoughts and your plugs?
Closing thoughts is there's a lot going on in wrestling. I know that certain things are going to piss people off. But just remember if you don't like it and you start feeling that piece of yourself inside that you're starting to hate everything you watch, turn it off. Turn it off. It's okay. But also consume the kind of wrestling that you like and give feedback where necessary. If you like a YouTube video, if you like the AEW, write a comment. Say, hey, I like this. Exactly. If you are critical of things in AEW, write that on their YouTube. I'm sure that there is somebody monitoring that. But if you like WWE, like WWE. If you like AEW, like stop adding to the noise of not addressing the correct manager. I don't think that spamming people's social media is the way to go here because it's not working.
And also telling me on Twitter your gripes with AEW as though it's my personal fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. I
don't work for AEW. I would work for AEW.
Sure.
If Tony Khan called me up and wanted to give me a job, I'm not saying no to some money.
Absolutely.
But
it's the thing of, it's like when people complain about specific companies online, like, oh, I hate Target because they did this thing and blah, blah, blah.
Just don't go to Target.
Just don't go to Target. And maybe like call the right number. I don't know.
Yeah.
But don't tell me about it. I don't want to know.
Wrestling fans are weird. They're weird.
But I'm going to like who I'm going to like. And I'm going to buy the merch that I want to buy. Even when it says Cope. If you don't like it, Cope.
Even when it says Texas Death.
I love it. Because guess what? My money works just as good as a man's money. Because I make my own money.
This shirt and my Bullet Club shirts, they get the most questions in public. Like my Bullet Club shirt, like it's always like, is that a military thing? No. And then, like, I think I told the story. I was at a hotel once for an AEW show, and I was in a Bullet Club shirt, and the guy thought I was a Marine. I was like, I'm not a Marine. First of all, I could never be a Marine. I could not do that. But also, is this a Marine thing? Like, are the Marines out here with clubs?
Mm-hmm.
Thought for another time, maybe. But this one, it's always like, who is that? And I'm like, well, you see.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, do you want to do your plugs?
Well, you can find me anywhere there's a social media _queer auntie. We are in the last 7 days of TikTok being available to us in North America. So if you want to find silly little videos, start finding them on. Go on TikTok and find your other creators and find their other social medias. Because guess what? Most of us have link trees available to find us everywhere there is a social media and where we want to have those conversations. I need to be more active on Instagram. I know, but social media is fun to me. When it's not fun to me is when I just stopped participating. Hint, hint, Twitter.
Yeah.
So find me on all social media. You can find me here on Sundays. You can find me over at our local establishment. We have a new I'm on a new non-wrestling podcast now. It's about RuPaul's Drag Race. We are recapping episodes of RuPaul's Drag Race, which is so fun to talk about because it's not wrestling. Guess what? I have interests outside of wrestling. So
you do?
I know. Shock face. But I'm stoked about things going on. And I'm stoked about all the cool things that we're doing.
Period. My final thought is that Kenny Omega's back, and I'm happy. You can follow me on on Twitter and Blue Sky at Kiley Wrestling. I'm trying to get better, and I said this last week, and I think I was better this week about posting on both because I know some people they only have one or the other, and like I get it, guys. Social media is weird right now. I get it. I'm not judging you.
Mm-hmm.
But at Kiley Wrestling for both of those. This is Wrestling Made Me Cry. It's a show where me and Collins come on every Sunday at noon Eastern, and we talk about the things in wrestling that are making us cry. You know, mostly these days it's Kenny Omega. But, you know, maybe one day it'll be something different. I don't know. But it was fun to sit here and talk about our wrestling wish lists and like really lay out what we want to see. because I think sometimes we drop them in a little bit in episodes, but it's nice to have a full episode for it. So let us know your wrestling wish lists, because I really want to know what you guys want to see. We talked a little bit about AEW. We talked a little bit about other things, but like, what other nuanced things in wrestling do you guys want to see? I want to know. Tell me. Follow me on Twitter. And this is Fightful Overbooked. It's a channel that's full of like a lot of shows. I don't even know how many shows we're up to these days. There's like everything is going on Fightful Overbooked. So make sure after this episode, you go to the playlist tab and you go and you look and you explore and you see what's going on. I recommend Coexisting with Rob and Maggie. It's a really good show. Everybody should watch it. I don't know why you're not watching it. Go watch it. And then Henry says, prayers for the safe return of Melina. Yes, prayers for Melina and everybody in the California wildfires. My thoughts are with you. My love is with you. You will get through this. I know it seems like nothing will ever be the same again, but you will get through this. All that being said.
By the way, Melina has been reported safe, by the way.
That's good.
Someone has made contact with her.
Nice. I love to hear that. What a happy note to end the show on.
Yeah.
All that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us. Our little goofy wrestling wish list / rant episode / Kenny Omega / Texas Deathmatch. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next week at noon Eastern, our usual time slot, right here on Fightful Overbooked.
See ya. Bye.